Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Izam, and in today's video I am back with watercolor. I will be painting this whale in watercolor. This is a digital watercolor art. I am using Tayasui Sketches Pro app on my iPad Pro. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey guys, so today we're going to draw a whale. So I'm using Tayasui Sketches Pro app, and let's begin. So to do this, we need to have the basic shape first. So press and hold this. I am going to choose the second watercolor brush, set the opacity to the highest, set the size to about 100, and I'm going to choose the color blue, in this case dark blue. So let's begin by placing our pencil on the screen over here and just drag. I'm not putting any pressure, I'm just dragging it, and then draw a shape something like this. Alright, and then color it in. Okay, and save. So this is the snout of the whale. Now we're going to draw the fin. For the fin, just to make sure, we have to decrease the size to about 45, and we begin by drawing the fin over here. Alright, this is the back and closer to the tail. We're going to draw the tail later on, but now let's focus on the fin. So the fin, let's begin. I'm going to zoom in and we're going to draw something like this. Okay, and let's color it in. And another one over here. Can you see this curve over here? So from here, from this curve, we're going to draw this shape. Not too big and not too small, something like this, and then color it in. Alright, now we are done. We can dry. So the next thing we're going to do is the tail. So for the tail, we're going to continue from this end, and let's begin. From here, let's draw and curve it like that, and then from here at this side will be a flat, somewhat flat like that, and as we go down it will curve back like that. Okay, and then here we add some volume to the back of the whale. So let's add some more paint such that this fin here, it will touch the middle of this fin. This is the length, and will touch in the middle, and that's it. Okay, now we can let it dry. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the opacity lower, because now we're going to draw some kind of a line over here at the bottom to define the shape, the body of the whale. So for this, we need to make it smaller. The size, let's try 23. Now we're going to do this. From here, this is the fin, and we're going to start here, the bottom. So let's begin. I'm not putting any pressure. So we're going to draw a curve like this. Alright? So let's try. And softly, slowly let it go. Something like that. And then here, we're going to paint some more, because we're going to use the water brush later to spread the color out. Okay? Now we change to the water brush over here. Make sure that the opacity is set to the lowest, and the size is about 38. I think will be fine. Then we just drag the color out, something like this. Okay, then we can let it dry. Here, the next thing that we need to do is we need to draw another fin over here. So what we do is we change back to the second watercolor brush. This time set the opacity to the highest, and then set the size to about maybe 40, and take note that this is the curve. We're going to start the fin over here somewhere in the middle. So from here we draw. I'm not putting any pressure. Over here on this side, just one straight line downwards like that, but over here it will be curved. Okay, and paint it in like that. Now we can dry. Now we have the basic shape of the whale. Looking good so far? Okay, so now what we do is we're going to draw the eyes of the whale. For the eyes, we're going to take the dark color, black color. We're going to change the size to about maybe 15, quite small. And take note that the eye will be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so as a gauge, let's use this fin, this straight line over here. We will follow, go up, and we're going to draw the eyes over here. The eyes is just something like this. Next, we're going to lower the opacity. Alright, this, we're going to draw the outside of the eye. There will be some shadows and some lighting. So again, the size is set to the same size as this. Now, what we're going to do is make sure that the opacity is set to about 25. Let's see whether this works. We haven't dried this paint yet, so let's begin by painting over here, behind, like that. Alright, and I'm going to spread the color with the water brush, but make sure that the size is set to about 15 or 14. And I am going to spread the color out like that, and then I will dry. Next thing, we have the shadow over here. We must have the lighting over here. So for the lighting, we need white, and make sure you remember to change back to the second watercolor brush. Again, the size is set to the same size, which is small, but this time I think let's set the opacity a bit higher, about 50%. And now let's begin coloring over here on this side. This is where the light will strike this part of the whale. Okay? And I'm going to use the water brush, and I'm going to just drag the color out this way and this way, so that we will see a defined line, the line where the paint dry on the paper. Like that. Okay, now that we have this lighting, we also must apply the lighting over here. So let's do that. So I think it's best to create a new layer for the lighting, and remember to change to the watercolor brush, the second one, and I'm going to set the opacity to about 65. Set the size now to be a bit bigger so that we can cover a lot more space. And let's begin painting over here on this side, like that. Alright, over here. And let's use the water brush to spread the color inwards. I'm going to use a much bigger size, about 37. Let's see whether it works. Okay, it works. So let's just paint it like that. Just bring the color in. Okay. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to add some shadows. So let's use this brush again, the watercolor brush, the second one. We're going to use a different layer now for the shadows. For the shadows, let's use a different color. Instead of this blue, we're going to use purple, but we're going to set to a darker purple. So press and hold and drag this down like that and tap add. Let's begin. So I'm going to start by painting over here. So I'm going to set to a smaller brush, something like this, and just follow the outline like that, like this, and over here and over here. I'm just applying paint like that because I'm going to use the water brush to just spread the color out later on. And over here, that will be shadows over here. I'm just going to press and hold. And over here is where the tail is. And over here. Okay. And of course, down here. Okay. I'm going to set the opacity a bit lower. I'm going to apply somewhere here. Set the size a bit bigger. Something like this. Now I'm going to use the water brush to just spread the color inwards like this. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. Something like this. Okay, and tap dry. So we are done, mostly done. So now we're going to have the background. The whale will be swimming in the deep ocean. So have a new layer, drag this layer right to the bottom. I'm going to use this blue, but it will be a much darker blue. So change it. I'm going to use this blue. Let's try a different brush. I'm going to introduce to you this brush. You see this star-shaped brush? Yes, this is what we will be using right now. So for this, make sure that the opacity is set to about 60 and the size to about 120. Let's see how this will work. So I'm going to set the size a bit bigger. Something like this. But I'm going to change the color to this dark purple. So I have a mix of colors. Over here. Now I will do this. I'm going to lower the opacity to the lowest. Then by doing this, I can actually spread the color out like this. As you can see, there's this nasty wet, dried up paint effect over here. Now, in any case that you don't want this, we can always redo, right? So I'm going to redo this by tapping on 2 fingers until that is gone. I'm going to start painting again. Now, the reason why that happens was because I tapped on the screen like that. Okay? You can't see it now because the opacity is low. Alright, so I'm going to begin again. This time it's purple. Now I'm going to set the opacity lower. I'm going to drag the color outwards, and I'm gonna let it dry. And this time we add some different colors, maybe orange. I'm gonna set the opacity to about 35, and I'm gonna set the color over here. Maybe set the size a bit smaller. Like that. And then I'm gonna add another color, which is this color, light blue. Just add some fun colors like this. And then set it to the lowest opacity. I'm going to drag the color out, let it dry, then have a darker purple, set the opacity a bit higher, maybe 85, and I will begin by painting over here. Set the size smaller, something like this, and then set the opacity much lower. I'm going to drag the color out. You see, when I tap, then this dried spot appears. I don't want that, so I'm just gonna do that. Okay. Let it dry, and I think we should be done soon. Have another paint applied, maybe over here. I'm gonna set the size smaller. And I'm going to change the color maybe to this dark blue. I'm going to set the opacity much lower. Drag it out. Drag this color out. And save. Okay, so I'm going to add another layer. I'm just going to give it a title. And I'm going to use this pen. This reminds me of the splatter, so maybe you'd like to have some splatter in this painting. So let's begin. Let's set opacity to about 50, maybe 50, and maybe the size to about 13, and I'm just gonna add some splatter over here. Maybe set the size a bit small, a bit much smaller. Something like this. I think this is fine so far. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna write the title of this painting, and I'm just gonna write whale. That's it. Alright, so I hope you liked that video. I hope you can follow through. This is a very simple painting. If you can't follow through, just keep trying and rewind and follow me again. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button down there, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.